Hi, I'm Chanel, one of the journalists at Manx Radio. Welcome to the latest edition of Manx Radio Newscast. Right, can I get you introducing yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Jackie. I'm Jean's daughter. Jackie Knighton, sorry. Yeah.
And I'm David Prest, eldest brother of these two siblings.
I'm Mark Prest, Mum's youngest son, and I was a carer for the last 14 years.
Lovely. Now, all three of you have done something very special for your mum. Sort of like can I call it a homecoming for her?
Well, I think first you should know, Chanel, that my mother's had two funerals because she's had one in the UK, but of course we were bringing her home for burial to lay her to rest with her parents and her brother and her family here. But we did a bit of a kind of
Dress rehearsal.
Fools and Horses thing, because we brought Mum home in the back of my brother's transit van. And
That's what she wanted.
We went with the Co-op funeral service in the UK, but they didn't have a branch in the Isle of Man, so we had to work out how to get here. And my brother jokingly said to her, "I'll take you in my van." And because my mum was so quirky, she loved the idea and fell about laughing. So that's what we did. We drove her up to Haitian, brought her across on the ferry, and it was just as she thought, really. We just laughed our heads off.
But I love that because that was her wishes that you were able to fulfill. It's exactly how she wanted it done.
Well, it was her wishes, but it was also really personal. Her children were bringing her home, and bringing her home from whence she came is so important to us. And to lay her to rest on this island, I think that we'd all agree it's really comforting to know she's in the heart, she's in the bosom of her family.
In the family plot up at Kirk Braddan Cemetry, we concluded yesterday.
But my mum lived till 94 and a half, and her, she was Florence Jean Looney, known as Jean Looney on the island, and her married name was Prest, and she married at the Catholic Cathedral on the 19th February 1955, and the weather was like this, and they had the reception at the Villa Marina, and then they'd also hired a coach, so all the wedding guests drove my father Gerald and Mum off to the airport. Because of the bad weather, my father didn't get his suit. His suit wasn't flown in, so he had to wear his father's morning suit. His brother was later missed the wedding because of delayed flights. And I said the Villa Marina, and then they flew off to Dublin for the wedding reception. My Aunt May, who used to own a shop, children's outfitter shop, in the 40s, 50s, perhaps sooner, May Looney was a formative influence on my mum. Her father's sister, and was a kind of independent, feisty woman, was quite scary, and in terms of some of my mum's values and her interest in fashion and clothing was really, really formative. But then my mum came from a long line, a whole cast of characters: our Uncle Jack, our Auntie May, our Auntie Gertie, our Auntie Edie, so when we came for holidays in the summertime, we had all these kind of amazing older relatives who were as mad as a box of frogs.
It was a marvellous adventure for us to travel from Oldham to veer at the train down to the floating pier in Liverpool to meet Uncle Leslie,
Leslie Looney,
who was a part of the Manx Steam Packet Company, one of their officers, and then we would have the adventure and privilege of being shown around parts of the ship that no other passengers would get to see. So for us as children, it was so exciting to be greeted on embarkation by our Uncle Robert, who had a black hackney cab, and then brought home to Heather Crescent to enjoy what would be our summer holiday and vacation. And we have such warm memories of a beautiful childhood.
And Heather Crescent, of course, is on the Polrose estate, which has been partially redeveloped. And part of the thing with Mum, she said, "I don't mind you bringing me in the van, as long as when we arrive, you'd take me on a bit of a road trip." So we drove Heather Crescent still there, and the original houses that kind of
That was her childhood home.
lined.
Yes.
Hers isn't there, but the road layout is still the same, so we were able to kind of locate the spot, and we recognised it. So we had a drive up there. But
14 and a half years ago on her 80th birthday, I brought her over as a birthday treat, and I took her to Heather Crescent, and it was just uncanny. It was the only 2 houses left, and they were being demolished the week after. So when we were there, she was able to stand on the same steps. We've got pictures of her from when she was like 12, or even much younger actually she might have been. But for her it was an incredibly poignant moment of reflection, and she.
And you captured a picture of her,
yeah,
just
I've got a
gazing,
picture. I've just
gazing
got a
at
picture
her
of it.
home on the driveway.
And it was just uncanny. The family couldn't believe that actually they hadn't been demolished. It was like somebody was watching out and wanted her to see her family home one last time.
But what was my mother like? She was extremely intelligent, very perceptive, quite canny, didn't suffer fools. She was fun, and she had a great laugh. She was mischievous fun. She was mischievous.
She talked with her eyes, didn't she?
She would, but she was captivating. She would hold a room. She had this. She was charismatic with energy. It's really hard to explain. And in my eulogy, I was talking about. It was almost like I work in the visual arts. It was almost like what observing performance art. Because she was so articulate, but she was very considered in what she was saying to get what she needed. Whether that was asking a group of young men who were really rowdy near her bungalow in England to go away and treating them with utter respect, but at the same time saying, do one.
Enough's enough. Yeah.
And if you misplaced her trust, you would know about it. And she would deliver the coup de grace is she would smile graciously, and she never swore in her entire life, and she would tell you in great detail how she was, what she was, what you were. But it was only 10 minutes after she left that you realised what she said. Because of the way her delivery, and she worked in fashion, and she was a real style icon.
Even to the end.
It's because she enjoyed clothes, but she was a charity shop queen. She was the queen of the charity shops. My mother never paid full price for anything. Bargain rails in Marks and Spencer's and charity shops were an Aladdin's cave to her, and she would proudly come even into her 90s on a 3-wheeler, stuffed, showing me her latest treasures, and I was thinking, oh my God, the loft's already full of clothes. But it was just the way she'd put things together, and she'd say, do you like my new whatever it is? And I'd say, yeah, you look very nice, Mum. You always look really nice. I know, but do you like this? and then she'd say, how much? And I'd say, $3.50, no, $5.99 the whole outfit. And she looked like Honor Blackman.
Thrift was her mantra, having to bring 5 of us up as a widow from age 40. And unfortunately, a lot of that thrift has travelled down the line.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
I say unfortunately because unfortunately I tend to be a bit of a magpie as well, and hold on to things.
You were trying to barter the Undertakers down.
Yes, that's my entrepreneurial
on a
skills coming through.
Prepaid funeral package. He was trying to get money back.
Sorry, you wanted to add something?
I was just going to say it. Like I've started the last few years sitting. When I used to go and visit Mum, I'd do a little video. She didn't understand technology. She just and I'd do these little kind of cameos. And it was like a double act, and she was, and they've given me so much comfort because we can see Mum's little glint in her eyes, and and a little smile and
a nuanced humour.
And it's brought. We played it in Oldham at a house when everybody was there, and then we played it yesterday at the wake, and it just had everybody laughing because that was Mum. It showed her humour, and for those that didn't know her, you know, even in the hospice, Dr. Kershaw's in England were amazing and looked after our Mum so well.
Gilt-edged care there.
It was amazing, and they asked to see the videos because then they could see the woman that they were looking after, and it was really special for us. Yeah.
And just to finish off, Chanel, I think this is really important because I was on my mum's journey with her for the last 14 years, watching her age, watching her gradually fade away. And in the end, Mum was in nursing care and she was much reduced. She'd lost her independence. But what she hadn't lost was her ability to feel. And when we'd go, the conversation was limited, but she'd recognise and she'd smile. And the next thing was, I love you. And when she was in the hospice, you know, she perked up a bit and she kept saying she loves us. And the very last thing she said to me was, I love you. So right at the end of her life, what was really important to her was to love and to feel loved.
And we were her life's mission, and I shared with Mum towards the end. So her work's complete, and she can go and meet her family. So. And
what was wonderful about bringing her home was her family were here to welcome her.
Oh wow!
And
they
welcomed her with love and warmth. And one of my mum's biggest fears was this, she said, but you won't be able to visit, I won't have many visitors. And already yesterday people were saying, oh, we come up all the time, we'll come and visit Jean.
We'll come and visit Jean.
So she gets her visitors.
Oh, that's sweet. Before we go into yesterday, into the special arrangements that you made for the funeral, you know, bringing her coffin in and having the Manx flag on it, where were some of the special places that you took her after getting off the steam packet?
Well, we mainly took her up to Pole Rose, really, because it was I've just thought of we took her up to Pole Rose, but and then brought her back because it was late and the roads and icy conditions, so we didn't do as much.
We couldn't go up the mountain
But what
road.
was really, we were looking for Kingswood Funeral Home to drop her off, and it's a bit tricky to find. And so my brother, who was driving, was looking for it, and you know his speed, maybe his driving was a bit ropey. And the next thing we saw, flashing lights,
blue light,
and we got flagged by the police.
Sure was like a man in uniform.
Who thought, you know, he was maybe a drunk driver.
He was
but
going,
at the same time as the police got out of the car, the undertakers came out to greet us. So, you know,
Jackie took over as a senior officer.
So I'm a police officer in the UK. So I jumped out and I knew immediately, and I just said to her, I said, I'm so sorry.
Careful.
I know he was driving very silly then, but it wasn't. It was kind of slow. Too slow for the road condition,
respectful,
you know,
of the cargo we were carrying.
And I knew that she probably thought, you know, and I said to her, I'm so sorry. I said, I know he's not driving great. I said, we're looking for the undertakers. I said, my mum's coffin is in the back, and she just looked at me. She went, okay, I'm so sorry for your lot. She was so lovely. And I'm sure that story's being told now around the station, you know.
Well, it is now.
You know, on top of the kind of, you know, drive to collecting her from the co-op funeral undertakers. And it was funny there because the initial young person who dealt with us, when we said we wanted to take Mum, her jaw dropped, you know, but they were all laughing as we were putting Mum in the van and the ferry, and then David getting in touch with yourselves. There was an announcement before she arrived on the radio.
Which was wonderful, thank you.
And then through
the Manxman did a
through our
hooted.
niece, through a contact through our niece, they I don't want you.
The foghorn on
the horn on the ship, the Manxman.
They sounded that as we came
as a salute in honour.
And kind of the police.
Mum would have loved this.
And now this, 2 funerals. Do you know what?
Yeah.
She would have loved it.
It was Mother's funeral production, and the homecoming was the final stage and grand finale as the curtain closed.
Tell me about her funeral. I know y'all had very special arrangements made as well for the Manx funeral, if I
Well-
can call it that.
Well, mother, her last visit to the Isle of Man was in 2019. I escorted her across because we had a sudden death in the family. Our cousin Sarah Ann Joyce sadly lost her son, and mother instantaneously said, "I'm going across as matriarch." So Sarah Ann Joyce came across with her son Robert to reciprocate.
Well, she
that.
surprised us.
She surprised us, yeah, and she returned the gesture and helped escort us with mother on the way back on the Manxman. And her gesture as a gift to our mother was to provide the piper into the church and at graveside, and we're very grateful. And it's mother would have been delighted, and the Celtic and Gaelic aspects of that are very important in terms of the heritage that we passionately love here.
Well, it's not just that, Dave. Your mum was a drama queen, and she
Well,
loved
we know.
the drama.
She
of it
is.
all.
She honestly, are you getting a picture? Honestly, she was a feisty.
it was
She's a
dramatic.
feisty Manx, and she never lost her accent.
She was
She
all
never lost her accent.
fiery redhead and the temperament to go
Honestly,
with it.
she never lost it.
She was a Manx Viking Queen, and if you met her, you'd know why.
Well, I always used to say Baldessir on wheels.
I was given permission by the Chief Constable of the Isle of Man, Mr. Foster, to wear my ceremonial dress for my mum's funeral, which was a great honour. And then obviously, you know, I just hearing the piper, and then carrying mum in on my shoulder. You know, it's the single most honourable thing you can do for your mum. You know, and when we turned the corner into Braddan Church, down the aisle, I just saw all the family were there, and it just took my breath away.
Young and old.
Everyone, it was packed.
Multi-generational, yeah.
It was just so powerful.
Embracing mother as she entered the church, which was
And
full
it was
of love.
You know, Kirk Braddan Church, I'd never been before. It's really beautiful.
Stunning.
Up by the altar with little choirs on either side. And, you know, one of the first things I did when I was organising Mum's funeral was get her a Manx funeral drape, because that's what she said to me. I want the Manx anthem in and I want the Manx anthem out. I mean, and that's in her will. You know, so I got the Manx funeral drape. And
Flag,
She wanted flag, didn't she?
The flag, yeah.
well, she wanted the flag. So because it was very much about framing her within her her
Manx
identity.
yeah.
And you know, in the UK, we the processional song was Ellen Vanning.
Ellen Vanning. Yeah.
Ellen Vanning. So that was important. Plus, one of our cousins, Richard, was a pallbearer as well, and she previously had conversations with Richard when he had an ambition to be a mortician. He used to joke with me, as my mum
He's a
said,
doctor,
I'll
is
do a
Richard?
really good job of you, you know. And I reminded him of that yesterday. He was laughing
Because
but-
you needed to
but
look
he,
good.
He very kindly helped carry her. So it was just overall, it was just a really kind of beautiful setting with her flowers, with her flag, with the church. You know, it framed my mother really, really well.
And
Oh, wow.
embraced her
You know.
with
And-
the love of the family,
I
the
w-
Manx family here.
One of the things, my mother never went anywhere without a handbag.
Oh no!
You know, and in a handbag she had a set of basic contents, which were a pack of tissues, a brush, a gloves,
A lip-
a
Sunglasses.
lipstick, a money, a sunglasses, and some keys. You know, so in the UK, I'd forgotten to put the handbag in.
You'd been deep doo you would.
So I had to, the morning of the funeral, I went back and popped her handbag in, but I'd still forgotten her gloves, so I'm expecting something to happen.
It was a
Bit of
Radley,
a lightning strike somewhere, I think.
what, a favourite Radley handbag.
So we've tried to honour as best we could, really, and it's not been it's not. We haven't mourned her. We've celebrated her.
Massive
absolutely.
celebration.
And you know, it's kind of like just today. I was talking to my sister on the way in, and I said, "Mum would be saying to you, and what did you say about me, Jackie? I hope you were nice. I hope you complimented me.
Believe you me,
you
she's
shouldn't have
watching.
said that. You should have said this.
She's-
What did you wear? She'd be asking all these questions. She was a real character, and in many ways, you know, she was a feminist without knowing it, because her and my father kind of split up in the 60s, and the first thing my mum did was go out and get a job, and because she got that job, it allowed her to buy her first house, and it was unusual then for women in the mid-60s to be given mortgages, you know, because of social stereotyping, all that kind of stuff. And she took the four boys, dressed us up to the bank manager and said to him, "These need a home. Are you going to help me?"
I love that. I love that.
And
We were suited and booted.
and
She's feisty. I love
Oh,
that.
she was feisty.
Oh,
you
yes.
know, she loved to tell that story, and he said yes, and I said in my eulogy, and so he lived another day, because my mother did not understand the word no. So she operated as a woman in a man's world, but she didn't compromise herself or lose her womanhood. You know, she was just like she just ignored preconceived social boundaries.
Used her charisma
women.
and charm.
You know, even with my sister Jackie, you know, who was born in 1970 through another relationship with Peter, who was 14 years younger. He pursued her. You know, then having another child and not being married was seen as still.
Back then,
you know.
yeah.
But my mother, this is my daughter Jackie. That's it. Period.
Jackie was Mum's.
You know,
Mum.
after 4 boys,
She was the
she had
girl she always wanted, the daughter.
And so it's kind of like these roles in life. My mother wasn't interested in them. You know, she was going to kind of
Live her
be
life.
a provider, live her life,
Do it her way.
She was confident in her own mind, you know, and it's like my cousin Cheryl, who's older than us, you know, said her immediate family, her brothers and her mother and father, saw her as like she was the jewel in the crown, because she was full of this kind of future promise and potential. You know, they looked up to her because nobody ever knew what she was going to do next. She
Even
could
us.
go missing. You know, even in the 90s, she was still climbing into taxis or bringing back big bags of compost on a three-wheel trolley, 2 of them on the bus, and then would be very proud of herself that she was helped to get them home, because it was kind of, I'd be going crazy. What on earth are you doing with scoliosis, lower spine, bringing compost back on your trolley? And she went, "Oh, I met this lovely man who helped me on and on." You know,
My mum, my
was
mum, even in her later life, wanted to better herself, and she went to night college to do her English, and it ended up that actually we were in the same exam hall, and I was doing my English O-level, and sat not many, because obviously it was in alphabetical order. I think she was directly behind me, and everybody else thought it was great that my mum was sat doing her English O-level, and I was horrified. But anyway, and we both passed.
And she took a university course because she was an advocate for mental health, because my eldest brother lives with schizophrenia, and she was determined to change things for others and family members. So she did a lot of advocacy work in her retirement years. She always kept busy, you know.
Absolutely amazing.
She was on the board at Oldham Hospital as an end user for mental health services, in order to leverage that for people who have unfortunately been impacted by mental health issues. And Gerard was her firstborn, and she was passionate about that.
Oh, absolutely amazing.
And believe you me, her next chapter is to guide and advise from the ethereal sky. And if we're not towing the line in whatever way she feels, believe you me, I think there will be an intervention of some sort.
I think everything that you've done for her, you have all. I don't want to say gone above and beyond, but if you've done everything that she wanted, and everything just fell in place the way it did,
and some things have just happened, and in a way, it's like looking back on it. Oh, it's kind of this journey, this final journey she's been on. We can look back on it with smiles, but mostly love, and some of it's just fallen into place, and it suited who she is. It celebrated who she is, and I think that's fantastic, because we get so kind of death's but a part of life.
It is,
and I think you have to face it in a very kind of healthy way. I thought I always been incredibly close to Mum, and I didn't think I could live life without her being in the world, but actually it's not been like that. It isn't like that. I do miss her. I will miss her, but she was 94 and a half. And we were lucky to have her that long. But I think in terms of kind of this process for me, I've been involved with it, and I'd encourage people to get involved with it, and not kind of have this distant view from it, because I think it helps with the grieving process.
Well, Mark is the chief executive of his own organisation to help people in recovery, so that comes from the depth of his heart, and his mission and purposes in life now to moving forward, or to progress and support people who have their own challenges in life, and Mother she's lived a life that's long lived, that was colourful, dramatic, and we sincerely hope that we've allowed her to have an encore on the Isle of Man as the curtain closes on her life, which we celebrate, and we say to Mum, au revoir, and we'll see you later. Prepare a space for us when it's our time, and she will.
Vicky, would you like to add anything there, or?
Jackie.
Oh, sorry, Jackie.
No, it's all right. It's okay. Honestly, it's okay.
Would you like to?
No, I just, my I've got 2 little boys, and I know they're going to miss her, but they're going to remember her, because she was unforgettable, and I know we're going to be bringing her back, bringing all the family back in the.
We're not
bringing them. Actually, that was Mum. In fact, one of the little things that happened that made us all. We were at Mum's house in the UK, and Mum wanted to come home the night before, and so she was laid to rest she was in the living room, and we'd stepped out, Mark and I, into the hallway. And I was playing my my little pictures and videos on a loop on the TV, and Mark and I stepped out into the hallway, and then we were chatting away, and suddenly one of the videos came on, and it was Mum laughing, and we jumped so high, because it just sounded like she was laughing in the front room, and it was just
an open coffee.
It was an open coffee, and it was quite. Yeah, it was surreal to hear her voice, and then it just brought us all into laughter again. She had that way of just bringing you back into.
We brought Mum home to her home bungalow the night before for us 3 to share time with her, and for her to just compose herself prior to the journey. The final sea journey across on the Manx steam packet, and we'd like to thank the steam packet for the beautiful gesture they made, and the honour that they gave to her in saluting her as we arrived at the sea terminal. So thank you, the steam packet.
Thank you for making it to the end of the Manx Radio Newscast. You are obviously someone with exquisite taste. May I politely suggest you might want to subscribe to this and a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider, so our best bits will magically appear on your smartphone. Thank you.